and welcome to Ladies of Another View on Back. And today is a very special day, our 1-year anniversary.
Woo-hoo!
We did it.
I was going to sing happy birthday, but it's happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, yeah. Jan was here for the 1 year, and Amy is. It's been a long, happy, fun year, and we've added a few, about 3 or 4 new hosts. Yeah. Amy's one of them.
Hopefully I'll make it to the 2nd year.
Yeah, well, stick around. There's more fun to be had, but it has been a lot of fun. I remember that first day, Mary and I are the lead hosts, and Mary goes, I'm going to let you go first. And I really didn't want to go first, and I just remember sitting here feeling like I was jumping off the high dive.
Absolutely. You know, you don't know what you don't know until you get there.
Right.
So
what is the biggest thing you've learned in 1 year of being on this show?
You know what? I've learned, I love North Dakota because I love the fact that we are across the country. We have people in Long Island, New York that watch us all the time, like all over the place. But we started the My Hometown segments. And as a matter of fact, I was at a banquet yesterday with a lot of people from Hazelton, and I'm going to be going there tomorrow, and that show will air on the 8th. And I just love North Dakotans as an audience because they're near and dear to our heart. And this is a very special state. I've been here 31 years. And you're not from here either, right, Amy?
No,
right.
I remember coming down here for the first time and absolutely being blown away by how nice people were. And after a trip this summer, my son got to feel un-North Dakotans for the first time in the grocery store. He says, Mom, these people are rude. And I said, you were spoiled by North Dakota.
North Dakota is a nice place. And so anyways, thank you everybody who has joined us. Stay with us. There's lots more to come. And we have a very special guest today. Daniel Harmon is the creator of the Tuttle Twins. It's a cartoon series for kids that teaches history. Before I welcome him onto the show, let's just watch a little clip and see what it's about.
Emily, remind me why we're on this death trap again!
New students. One of you could be the Gandhi of rodents.
Space pirates! Get 'em! Oh, so the invisible hand really is just a bunch of people trading with each other to make things that no single person could make on their own.
Ah, well put, well put. Copyright Adam Smith.
Okay, Grandma, I'm coming for you.
Vamos! Yeah, try writing from back here.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Tuttle Twins. And here's the creator, Daniel Harmon. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
I don't know where to begin. There's so much to talk about. This is an amazing series, and we'll talk about it later because Jan, she's watched it with her kids.
So starstruck by all of what's happening. It's so much fun.
Tell us, let's start with, where did you get the idea? Where does this come from?
Yeah, so the TV series is based on the best-selling, award-winning book series by Connor Boyack and Elijah Stanfield. And it's really the first book series of its kind that teaches kids about principles of freedom and economics in a way that's clear not only for kids, but also for adults. And they've now sold over 3 million copies of these books. It's been a very successful series. And myself, I'm a parent of 7 kids. So I bought the first copy when it came out, and I've bought every copy since. And I've really enjoyed reading it with my kids and my family and learning about these timeless principles of freedom. And when the success of the books had gained enough momentum to where they're considering making it into a TV show, I was like, no, I want to make it into a TV show. This is something I'm really passionate about. So that's kind of where it started.
Daniel, tell us about your background, because I might have liked it, but I wouldn't have thought about I was going to make a TV show. What kind of experience do you have that you were able to do this?
Sure. I have a background in advertising, specifically in video content. So some of the more well-known content is things like Squatty Potty, the Pooping Unicorn, if any of you seen that, or Purple Mattress, or Chat Books, and some of those others. And so I've learned to tell stories, and specifically do advertising for brands that need a pretty complex story told, that they need to have their product or their service explained in a way that people can get it that have never heard of it before, and to do it in an entertaining way. And that's where I felt like my skill set lent itself well to Tuttle Twins. There's a lot of education to be had there, but I wanted to bring an element of entertainment to it, to where kids want to choose it as their show to watch over options on Disney Plus and YouTube and TikTok or Netflix or whatever they're watching.
You know, a lot of people have said that when they watch this, it's kind of a cross between Adventures in Odyssey and maybe Freedom Tunes. Do you get that kind of feedback often?
Yeah, we hear all sorts of things of like, we hear ourselves compared to School of Rock, or not School of Rock, sorry, Schoolhouse Rock. We're often compared to things like the Magic School Bus, and that is one of our inspirations for it. They did a really good job of providing education for kids in an entertaining way, and we're inspired obviously by things like Phineas and Ferb and The Simpsons and some of those other things, and we've mixed it with those educational elements, and obviously with family friendliness in it. And we're really trying to have it be something that kids love to just follow as an adventure, as a story, as characters they can really dive into and relate to. And then also they're getting these really cool lessons about free market economics, about the golden rule, about entrepreneurship, about all these things that they won't necessarily learn as much about anymore in schools or in culture.
You, so Angel Studios got behind it, and it was a crowdfunding project. And explain what that's about, and how did you make this happen?
Yeah, so our distributor is Angel Studios, and we did not fund this through any traditionally Hollywood executives or studios at all. We did this through crowdfunding, meaning it's kind of like a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo campaign, but instead of getting a T-shirt back for your donation to a given project, in this case, the people that crowdfunded invested in the show. So if the show succeeds financially, they'll succeed as well. It's a very proven method with their other hit TV show, The Chosen, which is about the life of Jesus Christ, where they were able to raise over $10 million for that from the crowd. And we were actually able to set the record for the #1 crowdfunded kids show in world history back when we did this crowdfunding campaign. So there's a market for it. There's an audience that is starving for this type of content to be able to teach their kids in a way that they don't feel like they're getting taught elsewhere.
You know, Daniel, I noticed I have a mother of two. I've got a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old. And they are bringing home some interesting concepts on a daily basis. And, that's a pretty wide range from Phineas and Ferb up to The Simpsons in terms of, because I'm a fan of both. Maybe not The Simpsons so much. It gets a little up there with some of their comedy, but I've got kids that really love The Simpsons. The age ranges, do you feel that it's age ranges from 5 to 15, or, how do you feel you address that?
Yeah, our target is ages 6 to 12. Okay. And we're finding that kids even 5 years old are really enjoying it, even younger sometimes, and then older are enjoying it as well. We, as writers, we like to write jokes that work for us, first and foremost. And then we also try to make sure it works for kids, because we want this to be a co-viewing experience, meaning we want parents to watch this with their children and be entertained at the same time. I remember the very first time I walked in on my kids watching VeggieTales, and I actually paid attention to the writing and the production value and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is actually a really clever, fun show. It's not just, they're learning cool principles, but I can actually enjoy watching this with them. And it's kind of that Pixar sweet spot, right? Where it's content for kids, but then it works really well for adults. And I'm not a big fan of kids just plopping or parents just plopping their kids down in front of whatever and not really kind of knowing what their kids are watching. We want them to watch this with their kids so that they discuss these things around the dinner table. I mean, imagine an economics conversation with your 7-year-old, right? That's not something that happens every day, but we feel like this show provides a really good way for those kinds of conversations to happen in the home.
You know, you get involved with the kids, and then when the kids get involved and start asking questions, it's kind of the whole point, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we very much want kids to watch the show and then have conversations with their parents about things. Like you mentioned that one little line about Ben Franklin being a good kisser. I don't know if that's actually documented, but we do know he had a personal life that wasn't maybe exemplary, and so we make a small, kid-friendly hint to that. But obviously, he was an incredible inventor. He's known as America's first entrepreneur. Yes, he invented things like the lightning rod and swimming fins that we learn about in the episode, the glass harmonica. He tried to invent a new alphabet that didn't catch on. And the kids get to go back in time and kind of learn about his process for coming up with ideas and how an entrepreneur really has to kind of tackle something big that no one else has ever done. So it's kind of a fun episode.
While we are enticing everybody to want to watch the Tuttle Twins, I think we need to tell them how can they watch the Tuttle Twins if they haven't heard of it yet.
Yeah, you bet. If they go to TuttleTwins.tv, so TUTTLE twins.tv, they can download the Angel app. Again, our distributor is Angel Studios. They download the Angel app. All the episodes are for free. They're also there for free on YouTube. You can look Tuttle Twins up on YouTube and you'll find the episodes there, as well as on Facebook. So a lot of different ways to watch for free.
You know, I'm absolutely loving this. The shows that I get on mean a lot to me. It seems like a God's work sometimes. And this is one of those. My husband had just sent me a link to something very similar. And we were sitting there and watching it, and it was very elementary. I do not remember the name of the series, but he's like, this is the way to teach our kids, because the wokeness, the liberalism, it is leaching, sneaking into our children's cartoons that even me as kind of I'm a really open kind of progressive parent, I'm going, whoa, why is that relevant in a children's cartoon? Why do we need a cross-dressing superhero? Why do we need same-sex families when it's so much about something different? And, you know, unfortunately, the cartoon that he sent us was very stale, but we made it through. It was only 23 minutes, but the thought process was there. And I'm loving because I'm a huge cartoon fan. I have been before I even had children, 23 sitting there watching Scooby-Doo. So that's great that, I'm sitting here going, how can I watch this with my kids tonight? Because this will be on our TV tonight, no doubt.
Oh,
I love it.
Good, yeah. And I mean, that's why you created this, right? Because you wanted good content, and it's getting harder to come by.
Absolutely. I mean, essentially, I'm making the show that I would have liked as a kid and that I want my kids to have. I mean, if it's not fun and entertaining, then to me, it's kind of like, what's the point? It needs to kind of stand alone as a great story and as something fun that kids want to follow. And it's a little bit of that principle of a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. If you include things like adventure and comedy and some of that fantasy type stuff in there, then they don't even necessarily think to themselves, oh, I'm having to learn school stuff. It's much more something they're already engaged with, and the lesson just becomes second nature. I always think of the movie, the first Spider-Man movie, and with great power comes great responsibility, right? That's a lesson that stuck with all of us because it was surrounded with such a great story, and we feel like we can communicate things about free markets, about economics, about the golden rule in a similar way.
So are all of these going to have kind of the moral to the story with all of them, or will they kind of graduate and, some will be more education based on economics and some will be more of a morality type of a storyline?
So the short answer is yes to all of that. Like there will be a lesson. In every episode, we start with what's the one thing we need to teach kids? And it might have kind of a couple of sub-principles to it, but what's the one main thing we need them to take away? And then the story is based off of that. We do not try to come up with a cool story and then try to figure out how to jam in the principles. We go the other way around. We say, okay, what's the principles that we need to teach in this episode? And then we figure kind of what's the historical figure that they need to visit to learn about that particular principle, or what's a story that really assists us in telling that principle in a compelling way. And so, yeah, every episode will be teaching something, and yes, it'll be things about economics. Yes, it'll be thing about moral principles. Lot of different stuff. All the things that really boil down to what helps us have a more free, peaceful, prosperous society.
You know, given what's going on in politics today, you feel that freedom is under attack. Why do you think these themes are so important, like freedom and free market?
Because our blessings really come from having free markets. Having our own ability to choose is really the center of a great, vibrant economy and the exchange of ideas, respecting each other in that way. And parents can say to themselves, oh, we need to fight back and boycott and do those things. Or they can say, here's something I can support. Here's something that I can bring into my home and really help my kids understand these principles. I can do something about this. And that's what we're trying to do with the show. I think a lot of what parents are seeing nowadays is a lot of the time agenda-based sort of things being jammed into their children's shows. And some of them they might agree with, some of them they might not. But it's just regular old entertainment. And then in comes these other messages where they're like, oh, did I really want that in my home? And I think the difference between that and Tuttle Twins is we're being very upfront, very transparent about what this show is. It is to teach your kids principles and values of freedom. It's to teach them economics. It's to teach them about the golden rule and entrepreneurship and all of these things and personal liberty. And so we're not hiding anything about that. This is an educational show. That's what it's there to educate on. And so far, it seems to be resonating really well with people.
You know, as a parent that has come into the room more than once and go, what the heck are you guys watching? Seriously? No. I have done that more times. Don't even get me started on YouTube. The animation, you know, you were talking about Simpsons, you were talking about Phineas and Ferb. If anybody knows, those are two very specific animation types. As soon as you see that pointy nose or that yellow round head, you know what it's from. You know, your animation is on point. Really fun, but you know, where's your inspiration? Like Grandma has an accent that makes her really fun to listen to, and it's just really eye-catching colors. How did you come up with all of that?
So for the color palette of the show, I wanted something that really reflected fun and hope. And I think freedom actually is a very hopeful, bright, colorful thing, at least in my mind. And I wanted that to be portrayed in the cartoon. And then we're obviously drawing, for the character designs, we're drawing on inspiration from places like, you know, Disney. You know, Disney's the master of character design of their different movies and their different shows. And we're trying to make sure the animation quality and the different sets and backgrounds and the movement and all that stuff holds up to the quality level of something like what you'd see on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or a lot of like a Disney Kids channel of some kind. So that's kind of the bar we're setting ourselves at, and then hoping that really helps the lesson come along in a way that kids really want to adopt it and really understand it.
You know, I've seen that comment where they say you are most like those that you hang around with most. And at Angel Studios, I know I watch things like Dry Bar Comedy and The Chosen. And my newest thing that I'm watching for is the Wing Feather Saga, in addition to the Tuttle Twins, of course. But I noticed on the opening credits that it said Harmon Brothers. More than one of you?
Yeah, there's several of us, 6 total in our family of the brothers, and then 3 sisters as well. I come from a family of 9 kids. But Harmon Brothers is the advertising agency that I'm chief creative officer of, that I've been leading now for years and kind of developing my storytelling skills there. And we decided to throw our weight behind this show and really make it into a program that we felt like we would want our kids to watch. Now, it doesn't necessarily reflect everybody's view that works in Harmon Brothers, but for myself and for the others that involved, it very much does. And yeah, that's how I learned the craft of storytelling, was through advertising and my time working at Harmon Brothers.
Well, what does the creator of the Tuttle Twins history of the books, you said that they have sold over 3 million
3
of
million
them?
copies now.
What
Yeah.
does he think
So
about your cartoon series?
Connor Boyack, the original author, he is a co-executive producer on this project. So he sits in with us in the writer's room, and he helps make sure that the education is coming through clearly and accurately. And we rely on him very heavily for that, that we don't want to depart from the lessons in the book. In the books themselves, we depart pretty heavily from the artistic style. It's kind of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Marvel has all these different brands where they've got comic books, they've got the feature films, they've got the cartoons, they've got the toys. They all kind of have their own little spin on it. This is a little bit what we're doing with Tuttle Twins, where the books kind of have their own flavor and they lean much more heavily in to going in depth in the education. And the show is much more focused on the entertainment, but still getting those core principles across. And then kids and parents can dive in deeper by going into the books. But yeah, Connor's very heavily involved and loves the show as well.
And you homeschool, right? But I imagine homeschool families love it, but it really is for everybody, right? It's not like, oh, this is a homeschool cartoon. It really is like you could watch it in a classroom.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We see that over and over again in the comments of the YouTube videos that go out with the episodes where people will be like, I'm incorporating this in my next lesson in class. We're like, oh, great. That's awesome. We love to hear that, that kind of thing. And yes, obviously we have a pretty hardcore following of homeschool families that like to do this, but a lot of parents are really just waking up to the fact that if they want their kids to be educated and if they want to pass down the values that they hold dear in their family, they can't wait on the public school system to do that for them. They can't wait on the government to go and make that happen. They need to go and do it themselves. And so I'd say there's probably even more parents that are actually watching this that, you know, don't homeschool their kids, or maybe they have a mixed education or whatever it is. But yeah, we're trying to make this so one and all can watch it. It's not just for one specific type of person or race or religion or any of those things.
And before we run out of time, we have a couple more minutes, but I want you again to tell people how can they watch this TV show?
Go to TuttleTwins.tv. So that's TUTTLE twins.tv. They can download the Angel app and watch it for free, or you can catch it on YouTube for free if you search Tuttle Twins, or on Facebook as well.
And what do you have planned in the future? What kind of episodes can we look forward to?
We have an episode coming up here in the next couple of weeks about protectionism, how when businesses get big, they sometimes try to make laws to keep other businesses from competing with them. We have one coming up on inflation. We have another one coming up on free speech. And that's all just in this season. We have plans for a second season as soon as we get everything up and running. But right now we've got 12 episodes that we've got funding for, and we're charging ahead, making all those as great as we can.
When you talk about the age range, I think this is like, there's no top limit to it really, because I learned a little bit just watching some of the shows.
Well, and I think with the animation, you're going to catch a lot of the younger kids. I know that my grandkids, the youngest just turned 3, and if the others that are, you know, early school age sit and watch something, she will join right in, and she may just learn something by osmosis.
And I think this is great. You have children of many different ages, so you know 10-year-olds to 13, almost 14, they're asking a lot of questions. And we've had a lot of I always say car conversations because we live about 30 minutes from town. And man, we get into some in-depth, and my son will sit down, so, Ma, what's Biden doing today? and we just go off, and they're interested, they want to know. And I think it's part of the learning of being a good citizen. This is just wonderful. Thank you for stepping up and saying, hey, I want to do this, because to parents that are struggling with kids in public school, wanting to have them get the right values, this is just a great thing for them to watch. Thank you.
It's a help for all parents, really, if you want to teach history and all those other good values.